I saw that Jermell said that he's not done with the division as well. Is that it's still a fight that you want down the track?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I've always wanted Mel on my resume, That's the list, that's the name that I need on my resume. But that just shows how he's not confident of beating Canelo, you know? You're not, if you're a 168 undisputed champion, you're not going to go back to 154. That's facts. Yeah, that's facts. So the fact that he's saying, I'm not done with 154, he knows that he's going to get his ass whooped, so he's going to come back down. Simple. I don't have that mentality. Don't think about losing, ever.
A lot of people have suggested he's slipping a little bit. I think even after the press conference, you had mentioned like you felt like, oh, maybe Canelo is slipping a little bit. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I think he's an aging fighter. He's had a lot of busy years. I think 2020 took a lot out of him. Sorry, 2021 even, after COVID, the 3 fights in a year, unifying the division. I think it took a lot out of him. Then the loss to Bivol, and then the win over Golovkin, which was a good win. He beat him every round, but it looked a bit lackluster. He come back, he had surgery on his wrist, and then he was coming back with me. And listen, I got in there with him, and he's the real deal. He's still got a lot left to give. I know there's going to be a lot of eyes on him on September 30th for the Charlo fight, but it's a fight I think he's going to come through well. But where he goes from there, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was leading to. Like, based on that, like, how good of a shot does Jermell have at beating Canelo?
Well, he's got a lot on his side. I mean, he's coming up in weight. He's probably naturally a bigger man anyway, with Canelo starting at welterweight. So I'm sure that the process of dieting is going to be a lot easier for Charlo now. He's not going to have to cut weight, and he's probably going to have a lot more enjoyable camp than he has ever, working on tactics more than losing weight for the fight. So I'm sure he'll come in fresh, and look to cause the upset.
What type of fight do you see happening with Canelo and Charlo? Like when you play it out in your mind and just knowing boxing and having spent those rounds that you did with Canelo in the fight?
I think it'll be a cagey affair. I think Charlo might come out early and try and press forward, but he'll realise that he's not going to get away with that and end up throwing caution to the wind a bit and throwing less.
You, I guess, with the experience of having fought a Canelo, what would you, I don't want to say advise, but what would you say, like, yo, Jermell needs to look out for this because this was a really tricky thing that Canelo did, and like, I was surprised when Canelo did this.
Just like I say, when you think you're having success, you're really not. He's looking at what's next, and he's watching how you throw that shot and the other hand goes. And honestly, that shot, the uppercut he threw, was timed to perfection. I saw it coming, but it was just no time to get out of the way of it. So you've just got to be careful that he's always waiting. Like I say, even when you think you're having success, you're really not. He's luring you in. He's giving that full sense of security. But I think Charlo's got a chance. I think if he can take it to him up close and work way up close, I felt like I could have had a lot of success there. I just couldn't sustain it when I was in there with him.
Even with that, do you see him being able to beat Canelo, or you still favor Canelo in the fight? And do you feel that he stops him or they go 12?
I think he'll beat him well, Canelo. I don't know if he'll stop him, but I'd say he'd beat him wide on points. Yeah.
Approaching the Charlo and Canelo, if we can get a full analysis or a breakdown from you, how is Charlo able to win? Like, does he have to fight like a Bivol in order to beat Canelo, or if he does something different, goes to the body, he can find success there?
Well, I did hear Charlo's trainer, I believe it was Charlo's trainer, saying that he has to go to the body. I truly feel that, yeah, that can be a something that he can take advantage of, Charlo, absolutely. But look, any style that you give Canelo that is similar to a Bivol, he's going to have trouble with. Anyone who stays on their toes, anyone who flicks a jab in front of his face, anybody who knows how to keep the distance, just like Bivol did, Canelo will have trouble. That's the bottom line, because again, he walks on quicksand. That's just what his style is. I mean, it's worked for him all these years, and he's become accustomed to knocking his opponents out, walking them down with a lot of power. But anyone who tries to box him and have that same similar style as Bivol, he's going to have trouble with.
Do you see Charlo being able to do that? Does he have the gas tank to be able to do that?
I don't know, because Canelo puts a lot of pressure. He puts a lot of pressure. He can take advantage of it, Charlo, if he knows how to use his distance. And the distance you get with your feet, the distance you obviously utilize with your jab, you keep your distance. But if you know how to combine the footwork with your jab or your right hand or your combinations, then it's a perfect combination to win the fight against Canelo.
Does he win? Canelo, in your opinion, this will be the last one for you, Oscar. But
yeah, I think he should. Yeah, he should. I mean, and it's like I said, look, a good little man will never beat a good big man. It never.
like Manny like beat a lot of guys, and he was a smaller guy. Like, it seems if you have the speed advantage, you can beat a big guy. No.
But I mean, take a look at who did he beat? I mean, who did he beat? Margarito. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole different.
Cotto.
Charlo's elite. Yeah. Canelo's elite. And I'm just saying that in the history of elite fighters, it just doesn't happen. In their prime, in their, when they're, I'm not talking about, okay, me against Pacquiao, I was over the hill, obviously, but it's just the name of the game. That's just the way it is. A good big man will always beat a good man. So it's just the way boxing is.
So Charlo's height is whatever. But at the end of the day, I think the overall weight and power that Canelo's going to bring to that fight, and also Charlo had a hard time with the Castaño kid, and the Castaño kid is going to be coming straight forward, just like Canelo's going to come straight forward, but with a little bit more movement. And I don't think Charlo has that athletic ability to really bob and weave, and you know what I'm saying? He's more of a tight fighter, but I think Canelo's going to overall beat him. But at the end of the day, may the best man win. At the end of the day, it's definitely a good fight for boxing, and cool. Let's tune in.
It's strange for Mel because this is Mel's first time going that high, and he's doing it for 2 weight classes. So to jump 1 weight class is good, but when you jump 2, it's a little bit different because it's more of a significant amount of weight. And with that significant amount of weight, you don't know how your body's going to react to that. That's why I go at guys, you to go up a couple pounds, then up a couple more pounds. Now, to see how their bodies react, you're just going to take that, 18-pound jump? 14-pound jump. Yeah. You're going to take that 14-pound jump. You're going to take that 14-pound jump, and you're going to see what happens. You know what I mean? But that's dangerous because you don't know how your body's going to react with 14 pounds more. Can you carry that for 12 rounds? Can you take the punch that way at 12 rounds? It's a lot of questions to be answered. And you didn't start with the 6-pound jump. You went all the way to the 14-pound jump. You understand me? Now, if you're a special guy, which he may be, then he can do that, no problem. Because if you think about it, Canelo started the same way. Just Canelo went a little bit at a time. He went from the 6-pound jump, then he went on to the 8-pound jump, then he went on even higher. When he got to the 75-pound, it didn't work out too well for him. So at what point does the weight start to affect you? You understand me? And if you don't know, you definitely don't know if you just jump up there and see. So that's it's kind of a suspicious but a gutty thing he's doing.
Some people have mentioned that this is the perfect time for him because they feel that Canelo might be slipping a little bit given his fight with John Ryder in Mexico, where he didn't look that great.
Well, he didn't look that great against John Ryder, but you got to understand, he knew what John Ryder was just like we knew what John Ryder was. He knew what Charlo is just like we know what Charlo is. When you playing the Golden State Warriors is one thing. When you playing a lesser team, Orlando Magic right now, who really ain't came around yet, it's a different game. So you don't go to the Orlando Magic with the same attitude you go to the Golden State Warriors with, right? Not right now, because the Orlando Magic haven't proven themselves to be that formidable yet. So if they prove themselves to be that formidable, then you will. But Golden State, you know right now, is a championship caliber team. You go see Golden State, you got to be ready. So when he went to see Ryder, he like, oh, this is just Orlando Magic. But when he go see Charlo, this ain't no Orlando Magic. He got the same belts that I left in the beginning. You understand me? So I better be ready.
You look at the fight between Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez, and you say, well, Canelo did everything he did, what he always does, and eventually, keyword, eventually, he caught up to Caleb Plant and knocked out Caleb Plant. That eventually never came with Bivol. So when you see that eventually never comes, you see that in the fight with Bivol that Canelo came to the ring with the same game plan that he had been using fight after fight. The only difference is eventually never came. So if eventually never comes, then what does he do? You fast forward and you got the same fight against Triple G. He just is younger, fresher than Triple G, and he beat Triple G. But he fought the same fight that he fought 3 times against the same person. You didn't do anything different 3 times. And then you see again, eventually came with Ryder. But the fight with Ryder, I'm all for a good competitive fight. I'm all for that. Yeah. But when you are Canelo, you're supposed to separate yourself and show why you are Canelo Alvarez. Eventually came against John Ryder, but eventually, you know what I mean? If it doesn't, then what? You know, I think that Charlo, he's gonna need movement. Let's talk about the facts. You need movement against Canelo. You need a fast work rate against Canelo, and you need a great jab against Canelo. And you got to get to Canelo's body, and then you got to keep Canelo off of you. You know what I mean? So I think that the fight with Canelo and Charlo, I think it's interesting. I do think that Canelo wins that fight, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah, you know, it's a weird thing because of the weight. And Canelo's fought bigger guys that punch harder. Yeah. And if same with Jermell and Terrence, them moving up, that's kind of like the question mark there. Like, how are they going to handle, one, getting a punch from a guy that's bigger, but also, you know, Canelo's going to maybe take their punches and be like, okay, I've felt stronger, bigger punches. I could be a little bit more lenient now. I could push forward. Yeah, I'll take one, but I know I can give or take 2 or 3 in return.
What you don't want to do, though, if you're Canelo Alvarez, but this is going to work to his disadvantage. If you look at this fighter at 54 and you say, well, he's moving up to 168, he can't punch as hard as me. He can't punch as hard as such and such. But if we're being realistic, Charlo don't walk around at 150. He's big. He doesn't live at 150. Which means he doesn't train at 154. Excuse me, the weight class 150. He doesn't live at 154, so he doesn't train at 154. He probably trains at 168-ish, which means his body won't be foreign to performing at that weight class, you know, which means he's going to be strong at that weight class, you know. This is more than likely a strong 168 cutting down on 54.
It's like they're more or less like the same size.
It's exactly. What I'm saying is it evens itself out.
You've seen what Charlo can do. Like, does he possess the things technically to be able to give Canelo fits like a Bivol or a Floyd?
Like, you know, he is a good outside boxer. You know, the thing that I've seen though, and the only thing that I question is the conditioning, right? Because, you know, Canelo has a thing where he's just going to keep, it's just the Mexican fighter, man, that pressure, right? Pressure, 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 pressure. You know, I can say it 12 times for 12 rounds, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I mean, you know, and I mean, we know what Canelo looks like when he's hitting the bag, when he's hitting the uppercut bag, the heavy bag, that little one shotter that they hold up, and the body suits and everything, man. You know, I mean, those are just some heavy blows, you know. So even at 154, just throughout his whole career, I don't think he's ever faced a puncher of this caliber. And, you know, I mean, that should be a concern for anybody. Hence, outside boxing. Hence, work your feint. Don't overexert yourself. Watch how Floyd beat him. Watch how Bivol beat him. Okay. There was a special combo that Bivol threw that kept Canelo at bay, especially when Canelo was on the ropes. Do you know what combo that was?
It was that flurry, right? The 1-2-3, he'd step back and then 1-2, then step back.
Yeah, it was the 1, the 2, and the 1.
Yeah.
That's what people forget sometimes. If you want to maximize distance, sometimes you can just get into that pop, pop, boom. And then he kept doing that retreat thing, right? He was like pop, pop, boom. And then he came back like this.
Yeah. He takes that little sneaky half step back.
And he kept his hand up high, you know? That 1, the 2, and the 1. If you got the reach, and if you want to just stay at boom, 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 you know, because when you throw the 3, right, 1, 2, that's a hook. So what you're doing, you're stepping in on the 1, you're covering space on the 2, and you're bringing yourself in closer to land the hook, right? But when you're staying out here for the 1, 2, 1, you're allowing yourself, just like I said, go back and watch Bivol. Go back and watch it. I know Bivol had the reach to do this with Canelo. He kept Canelo at bay with that jab, almost like a little stiff arm. Like I call it drawing the line in the sky, right? He's like, bop, bop, boom. Like, I'm not letting you get in closer because I have the reach advantage. And for you to hit me, you have to cross this line. So if I can keep you at bay, easy work. And it was for Bivol. I didn't like Canelo's athleticism at 175. He made a few comments about his camp. I heard it was the first time he was ever vegan for a camp, yada, yada, yada. A lot of little small things. But to me, he had too much extra weight on his lats. Bivol looked cut, shredded, ready to fight. He looked very athletic. And Canelo just still looked a little heavy. I mean, that's the problem of moving up, So that's what I don't mind fighters moving up. I just always encourage them to keep their athleticism and don't be afraid to be the smaller guy in the ring. Cut, get, you need to get right, And when people say, oh, what's the big deal, this and that. Okay, cool. You go walk around in shadow box with 2 5-pound weights in your hand. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, yeah, 5 pounds is quite a bit. Okay, cool. Put the 5s down. Go grab 3s. Just go grab 3s and shadow box for 12 rounds. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're just allowing yourself to hold on to extra weight. And then, like I said, you're going to weigh in. What are you going to do? You're just going to make weight 167. Then you're going to show up in the ring 175. Like you never was at 154, then showing up in the ring at 175. So if you've never done that before, don't do that now. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's my only concern is like, how people's teams talk to these athletes about their strategy on, yes, we're moving up in weight, but I need you to be athletic, kid. I need you to be able to move like this and that. And I think we can accomplish that if we stay on this kind of diet plan, getting into that fight night, period. That's my strategy for moving up and having your best performance and not showing up, showing the world what you can truly do.
Obviously, I got Jermell. We grew up together. We came up and all that stuff in the gym. I have Jermell, but it's just like with Canelo. I mean, it's just gonna be a tough task. That's all. It's gonna be a real tough task just because of, you just look at Canelo's resume. Like the punchers and the boxers he faced. He fought some big. Is that bro?
Zurdo Ramirez making a cameo right now.
Yeah. So. Like I was saying, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a tough task. I mean, Canelo last fight, I was there against Ryder. I was there in Mexico, and
I didn't even see you. You were there in Mexico City.
Yeah, that's when I met with Eddie and signed with them. That was when I signed with them. It was a quick signing, but that's when I went out there and I signed with Eddie and stuff. So I was out there for the Canelo fight, and against that fight, he didn't look. It looked.
No, the critics like went in on him over that.
Because it's just like you dominate so much. Same thing with me. You dominate so much. You go from dominate and then you slip up, and it's just like, it's just like people talk about you and they say you slipped up, and I don't know why it is like that in boxing, but it is what it is. But I feel like this fight, he's gonna. He doesn't want that again. Same thing with me. This fight, he was in his hometown, he was in his hometown, and he had 60,000 people there. So it's probably a little pressure on him, and not even pressure, just so much going on with your hometown. But I feel like, you know, it's gonna be, he's gonna be a different monster.
With that being said, how close of a fight do you see it being, and how does Jermell or Canelo separate themselves in the fight?
Well, I mean, I think the main thing is, I think it's gonna come down to a power difference. You know, like how strong, like, cause, you know, Canelo's been hit by Triple G. He's been hit by Bivol. He's been hit by Danny Jacobs. And these are, I mean, you talk about big punches. You know, real big punches. So it's just like, man, if Jermell doesn't have that power to keep him off, you know, then what's gonna happen? But on the other side, I think Mel is good at the range, and Mel does have power. He has a lot of power, you know, but he's still coming up two divisions. They make weight classes for a reason, you know. So it's just gonna be an interesting fight. Obviously, man, I want Jermell to win. Jermell win, it'll be a huge upset. You know, he'll be the king of Houston for a little while, you know. But I want him to win. But it's just with that Canelo, he's just a different monster. That's all.
You know, they make a big issue of the weight, but, you know, Mel's a big dude. But you did bring up a good point. Canelo's used to fighting bigger guys, and he's taking punches from bigger guys as well. You know, I'm thinking like two things, like with that fight. Like one, like where exactly is like Canelo at this point of his career, if he really is like declining a bit. But two, like the conditioning part. Like we saw Caleb Plant do really well, boxing and moving, keeping distance, but he tired out because of the punches from Canelo. And it's like Jermell needs to really have good conditioning coming into the fight.
Yeah, exactly. He'll have to just be on this will have to be his best camp. This will have to be just everything to deal with that, you know. Like I said, I mean, you know, like I said, Caleb Plant, you know, he had a good game plan, boxed around, but, you know, those body shots and stuff, they just kind of got to him. So I mean, Mel will have to just learn from that and just try to, you know, stay away as much as he can and just box him. You know, hit him with some big shots when he can, you know, but, you know, don't get too greedy, I think. You know, but Canelo is just, man, it's just a good fight. And I'm glad that these fights are happening. You know, people are testing their greatness. Same thing with me and Devin. Everybody is testing their greatness right now. It's not about win or lose. It's about testing your greatness and going out there giving it your all, and that's what the fans want to see.
If Mel's not able to do it, do you think Maul has a better chance at beating Canelo because he's a little bit bigger now and customized to that bigger weight?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely feel like the only thing with Maul, he been out so long, you know, he'll have to get a fight before that Canelo fight. But I definitely think that Maul can beat him for sure. I texted Maul. I told him, like, bro, you could beat Canelo. When I was at the Ryder fight, I was like, look, you could beat him. You can get him, bro. I think you can get Canelo. But you know, Maul.
What'd you see there? Why do you feel like Maul?
I just think Maul is better than Ryder. That's all. You know, I think Maul is just better. I mean, I look at it like that. I mean, I'm not looking at punches and stuff. I'm just thinking like that fighter is better than that fight, and I think Maul is better than the Ryder. That's all. I just feel like he stayed. You know, he gave Canelo a good fight, stayed in there the whole time. But I definitely think that Maul, you know, if after he get a tune-up fight, you know, just to get back in the ring, get his feet wet again, I feel like he could beat him.
Hey, Derek, could you tell us why you're so confident that Jermell's going to win this fight, man?
Hey, man, I believe in my guys, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that he has all the attributes to be successful.
But if there's something stylistically that you see with Canelo that, you know, could, you know, Jermell could give him a lot of problems.
Man, I think it's just, I just think that he has the ability to beat weight, man. You know what I mean? And I think that it'd be a good chance, a good opportunity to show who he really is as a fighter.
And at size, though, I don't think Jermell looked pretty good size compared to Canelo.
Yeah,
All that talk
guy.
about the sizes, I don't think it's going to make a difference, right? Right.
So yeah, but what you say about it?
Oh, the size the size probably won't make that much of a difference given how
I
big
mean,
he is.
he's used to fighting bigger guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's used to fighting bigger guys. They're killing.
How do you see that fight with Charlo and Canelo?
I see that he will move forward and try to finish him with 1-2 punches, you know, and Charlo will try to keep him on the distance, and he will try to move. This is how I see, but I'm not a good expert, you know.
People said, hey, look at Caleb Plant. He was doing well, but Canelo wore him down. Look at someone like Bivol. Had conditioning. Obviously, he was bigger, more skillful, but Canelo has trouble with guys in the distance. And they said if Jermell can do that, there's a path there for him to win. He just has to be able to take the punches of Canelo and to last the 12 rounds.
No, he don't. No. He just have to be able to avoid the punches enough where the punches is not solid, the punches is not connecting solid. Listen, you dealing, we're going to be at a gunfight. And Broner said, what do you mean a gunfight? Okay. One guy has a smaller caliber, the other guy has a big caliber, right? You going up close to close, you having a stare down, you got a double barrel, I got a 22. I know I got a better chance of living and getting shot from the neck down than getting blown away with a double barrel, 3 feet away from you, 3 feet. You splattered everywhere. Yeah. So whoever get there when they need to get there, whoever can't keep up with the pace, whether it's with the feet or with the hands or just all around skills, then they're going to see themselves taking chances and taking risks. You must have the bigger, stronger guy blowing at the wind. Means that he got to be throwing punches to kill you, and you just doing enough to matador to the bull.
I remember every head-to-head I was involved with Canelo, the opponent, even John Ryder, you know, who's not the biggest super middleweight in terms of height. But you can see the thickness, like, you know, Canelo's like got a neck like this, he's like this. I think Charlo, who's a really good fighter, he's going to find it really difficult against the size of Canelo Alvarez. Like, you got Charlo at 154, probably like a very, very, very small 160 pounder. And when Canelo rehydrates, he's going to be a huge super middleweight. And I think that'll win him the fight.
Evie, what about the fight of Canelo and Charlo? I don't know if they asked you that already, but it's a big fight, undisputed versus undisputed. What do you think about that fight?
Listen, man, I love Canelo, but I just can't go against Charlo. Like I said, we ain't got the best relationship in the world, but I'm not going against my nigga. I can't. I'm not doing it. It ain't gonna ever happen. And I hope he win. And I'm betting.
A great fight. I love it. This is what I love to see. Charlo's an undisputed champion. Canelo's one of the best pound for pounds right now. These are the type of fights I don't want. This is boxing. This is what it needs to be. Charlo, hard-hitting dog, man. Like, the dude will get tired, push through, he throws bombs. I think Canelo's a little bit more skilled, a little bit more polished, a little bit cleaner. Might even have more endurance, so I'm definitely leaning towards Canelo in that fight.
What do you make of people saying that he might be slipping a little bit given his last few performances? Do you buy into that at all? Do you see that, or do you think it's just, hey, guys have a bad night and it just happened to be one of those bad nights?
He's fighting the best in the world every time out. He's not cherry picking. He's not doing like a lot of these guys that like, that guy's good, he's not preferable for my style, I'm going to go fight this older guy. No, to me, from what it seems like, as a Canelo fan, is that he's fighting the best every time out. Now he's fighting Charlo. Like, he's not ducking anybody. There's a lot of more fights that he could have took for more money and a lot less of a risk. And he's willing to risk it all for his legacy, for greatness. And this is going to be another huge notch to his belt, I think.
Is Charlo a tough fight for Canelo?
It's a good fight. I like it. I think Canelo got to win the fight because Charlo, you know, have to up 14 pounds. It's a lot of weight, but got to be a good fight. And after, have to wait. What happened the fight Benavides with
Adrien.
It's nice fight, the winner with the Canelo. For me, like it.
But Jermell has done a lot of work towards this, and I think this is the culmination of a lot of work. It's a very, very big opportunity, but jumping up 2 weight classes is very, very difficult all at once. And also, Jermell has a habit a little bit of kind of getting wild with his combinations. You know, he'll close the gap very smoothly, but then he'll kind of overextend his combinations and just, you know, get a little bit wild. We saw it in the Castano fights, and you know, he was getting himself caught. Tony Harrison was able to take advantage of it in spots with little pot shots in between. And really, that's kind of dangerous if you fall into that habit against Canelo Alvarez, because Canelo Alvarez is not the most defensively adept fighter, but he's very good at understanding positioning and holding his ground and kind of making you pay right from where he's at if you overcommit. And that's where Jermell has to fight a very, very disciplined fight. I think Canelo has the advantage, both for the reason that I haven't seen Jermell fight in this kind of disciplined manner yet, again, at this level, and he's still a world-class fighter, and also despite that, 2 weight classes up. I mean, if you pay, you're going to be paying heavily. What a guy 2 weight classes up.
We've also seen people in the past regret making that decision, regret going up 2 weight classes to make a fight.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it goes both ways. I mean, I can remember back when Shane Mosley did it against Oscar De La Hoya, right? Went from 135 to 147. I mean, granted, he ended up getting caught on Balco and the steroids, but whatever. I mean, we're not going to leave that out there. The fact that weight classes don't matter anymore, we're going to leave that part out there because nobody wants to hear actually the truth. So we're just going to have the pretend conversation, and we're going to say who would win and what would win and why they wouldn't win. So in continuing with this pretend conversation, you see it. Some guys end up regretting it. Some guys succeed, and there's always a risk with it. You know, there is definitively a risk with it. But I think when you're being compensated, and the way Jermell is going to be compensated, and also the risk-reward factor, there's so much reward there. If you can top a guy like Canelo, I guess you have no choice but to take it, really.
No, I wouldn't say he's crazy because Canelo fought at 147 before. Remember, Canelo started his career at 147. Then went up to 154 for a long time. So he's a bigger, even he's the smaller guy in his weight classes when he fights. You know, but a lot of people don't lose to Canelo, they lose to the event. So the big bright lights and the stage is set. Because when you fight Canelo, the stage is set for him. Like when I went, I saw J Balvin, I saw fireworks, you know. So you fight him, it's like you fighting in the Super Bowl. So it's like, but when you fight another fighter like you who don't care about that, it really don't affect him.
But the weight difference, though, no, like doesn't that play like a big part, or is he, or is it that like his talent is so much that he can bridge the gap?
No, it definitely makes a big difference. It makes a big difference because you was just fighting at 147 to go all the way up to 168. So it is a big difference, but it has been done before. You got fighters like Duran who went from 135 to 160. You got a lot of fighters who've done that before. So he won't be the first fighter, you know, who's trying to be great. But definitely, it's definitely gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be. I mean, but it makes sense. If you think about it, it really makes sense. It makes money. You know, you're 35 years old. Canelo's 33. At this point in your career, you want the biggest money fights. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Can he do it? Can he pull it off? Like, do you see him beating Canelo?
I don't know. He definitely has the skills. He has the skills, but Canelo has the skills too, and he's a stronger, bigger guy. So, but like, I don't know. You know, only he knows.
Well, he thinks he wins. He says, "Hey,
yeah." Well, he thinks he wins. That I can't say another fighter can't win because I'm the type of fighter I think like that. I feel like no matter what I do, no one can beat me.
Mm-hmm.
So if he feels that he could go up and do it, then you know, all power to him.
Yeah, he says he put out a tweet that says, "Hey, at the end of the day, skills win fights." And you know, he's a lot quicker, and I think we've seen like historically when it's like the quicker, more technical fighter moving up in weight against the bigger guy, they have a natural advantage over that bigger guy because they're so much faster than him.
Yeah, definitely. And that's how I felt at 154. So I feel like, you know, I'm gonna be the smaller guy, but I'm faster. And people underestimate my strength, how strong I am. So, you know, it's all about believing in yourself. That's all it's about. It's not really about weight, because at the end of the day, a lot of fighters kind of walk around at the same weight. And they squeeze themselves down. You know, so it's however they feel.
Just basically his thoughts on the fight of Canelo versus Charlo, and PBC having a great year this year.
Ok, dos preguntas en una. Una, PBC está teniendo un gran año y obviamente Canelo y Charlo es una muestra más de eso, ¿no? De que PBC está teniendo un gran año. ¿Qué te parece eso? Y segundo, ¿qué opinas de la pelea de Canelo y Charlo?
Sí, totalmente. Yo creo que no, porque sí PBC ha tenido, no nada más ahorita, sino pues de muchos años atrás, a grandes peleadores. Pues está ahí ahorita, como lo has mencionado, está Canelo, está Davis, está yo, está los Charlo, está Benavides, están muchos grandes nombres dentro de PBC. Y bueno, Pues una pelea igual entretenida, que está 50-50, pero yo creo que sin duda alguna gana Canelo.
Canelo Charlo is a 50-50 fight. Charlo is a great opponent, but I don't have any doubt in my mind that Canelo is gonna end up being the winner in the end. And as far as PBC goes, it's not just this year. It's been for years now that they've had a great roster of fighters. They have me, they have Gervonta Davis, they have the Charlo siblings, they have Benavides and beyond. So it's really this is really the fruits of the work that the PBC has put forward throughout the years.
Just signed Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo. What do you think about the way that they match up together?
I actually thought he was fighting a big Charlo. I didn't think he was gonna fight little Charlo, but that's a good fight, you know. I still can't even picture, even though they like signed for it and everything. I still can't even picture the fight. So like, I don't know. You might have to come back to me on that one.
How big of a leap is that? I mean, we're talking about going from 54 to 68 to fight arguably the best guy in the weight class. You've been around Charlo. Do you think he has the frame to go up to 68?
Yeah, I think he can go up to 68. You know, he probably walk around probably 80 or something like that. You know, he fight at 54, so he probably walk around 80. So he might be, who knows? He might be even stronger at 68. You don't got to cut that much weight. You know, he basically just probably putting on a little bit more muscle, you know, and things like that. I don't know. It's going to be a great fight, though. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited.
And I'd like to get your opinion, since you mentioned that, with him going up in the weight class. I mean, basically, he can eat the most wholesome foods that he wants. He can go to bed full at night. Do you think that's a bit of an advantage for him?
I mean, it could be an advantage, and then it could be a disadvantage. You know, like you don't know how well he's gonna be able to take a shot at that weight. You know, but then again, he might be even stronger at 68, so he might be able to take the shot well, or even better than taking a shot at 54. You know, so I don't know. Like, it's like pros and cons to it, but we just have to wait and see.
But there's a possibility that Charlo could win. You know what I'm saying? Like, but right now, I think Canelo will be the better man.
You know, a lot of people say like, "Hey, look, Canelo didn't look that good against Ryder. He looks a little vulnerable now."
Yeah, Ryder's a tough fighter. You know, I think people got it mistaken. Like, Ryder came the best Ryder. Like Ryder, like our friends, like with Jason Quigley, right? Jason Quigley came the best Jason Quigley he's ever been in his career to fight against me. That's the same thing how John Ryder was. John Ryder came the best he's ever came as a fighter fighting Canelo. Like, he knew he was gonna fight Canelo, so he came the best. He came the best in shape. He came the best prepared mentally, physically for this man. You know, and people tend to forget that. So, you know, when people say like, "Oh, you know, Canelo's not the same" or whatnot, maybe, you know, I see a little, you know, decline, just a little bit. But I you know, I take my hat off to John Ryder. You know, he's a tough fighter.
What way do you see decline? Is it something that you pick up on?
I say, for me, I'll just say like conditioning. You know, I just seen him like you know, he's declining in the later rounds. So I don't know if, you know, he's, you know, not running enough or whatnot. I don't know, but I just see like that played like a major part, you know, in it as well. Wow, I feel like he couldn't stop him, because I know he could have stopped him. You know, in the later rounds, I feel like he didn't have that tank to like really like step on it and just get that motherfucker out.
Yeah. A lot of people expected Canelo to knock him out that night. Do you ever watch Dragon Ball? Like, I equated it to like, he's like charging, like Ryder had like so many moments where he's like, like he got second wins like crazy in that fight.
Yeah, I feel like too, he ain't throw enough too. Ryder, I feel like when Ryder started throwing, he started landing. You know, I think he didn't let his hands go as much as he should.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he deals with your power, man. The other power puncher that he went against was Golovkin, and for years and years we've heard about these stories of Golovkin's power, and you know, Canelo took that power well, but there were times where Golovkin catched him clean.
Yeah, for sure. Golovkin's power was on another level too. You know, a lot of the guys at 168 got popped. You know what I'm saying? Maybe just our power is like, just different. You know what I'm saying? Like little more than average. You get what I'm saying? But everybody got that power at 168. At that division, everybody could punch.
I think Canelo just outboxes. Well, no, doesn't outbox him, but I think just outpowers him and beats him to the punch. And you do give Canelo does have some sort of like decent speed as well. So I think Canelo just wins that fight easy.
Would it be a knockout?
Could be, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. All right.
You talked about champions. You talked about Mexicans.
Right.
El Gran Campeón Mexicano. Canelo Alvarez. Undisputed, my guy. Tell me, Canelo versus Charlo, how excited are you for that matchup?
I mean, look, you got to commend Charlo for moving up 2 weight classes to want to fight Canelo. But they know where the money's at, right? Regardless, they're daring to be great. And I know that, size and weight does matter in a fight. They have weight classes for a reason. I just think Canelo, even people are saying, oh, he's old, he's washed up, he's this. Look, man, people just wanted an excuse just to talk, right? You could solve world hunger and they'll still ask you, why didn't you do it sooner? So that's just how boxing fans are, and they always want something to talk about. And I just think Canelo is as in skill, way ahead of Charlo. Let's just talk skill, hand movement, counter punching, defense, offense, and then you go into power. Canelo has unbelievable amount of power. Charlo does as well, but I just think being faster, being able to time and use the hand movement, use everything, and the body shots, man. I don't know. I haven't seen Charlo get hit to the body yet. So,
do you think that there's any way that this fight goes to decision, Canelo and Charlo?
I don't think it'll go to decision. I honestly think that someone's getting stopped or knocked out, but at the same time, both are power punchers, man. Both are definitely power punchers, and I'm excited to see Charlo move those 2 weight classes. So it's definitely something to watch. And anytime Canelo fights, it's a big show. So I'm excited to see it.
You know what? I'm a former fighter, and comes a time where you could train as hard as you can, and you could have your best camps ever. You could choose the best training camp location. But if your body's already tired, your body's already had so many years of camps, so many years of diets, so many years of beatings in the gym, your body's not gonna respond as well. I think he will be in great shape, maybe training as hard as he's ever trained. But when the bell rings, he's already had 18 years as a professional fighter. So I don't think he will have his best performance. Do I think he still performs well? Yes, I still pick him to win the fight, but I'm definitely sure it's not going to be easy, because Charlo is a true warrior, a true fighter, and I wouldn't be surprised if Charlo pulls it off, honestly. If Canelo wins by knockout, I think it would be under 8 rounds. Late rounds, I think he slows down. I think he tires out, and late rounds is where Charlo could actually stop Canelo, I think.
That's how I'm seeing it, Robert. That's exactly how I'm seeing it.
Okay, good.
Being hit on the
I think if it's a late stoppage, it would be in favor of Charlo. But Canelo's got great power also. Canelo could knock him out cold. But man, if it goes a distance, I'd say Canelo by decision.
Now, if you're looking for a perspective from which to differentiate the 2 fighters, Canelo has fought, and effectively so, at 175 pounds. Big win over Sergey Kovalev at that weight. Has succeeded at 168 pounds as well. And now Charlo prepares to go up 14 pounds. So that in itself would seem on the surface to be an advantage for Canelo. But of course, boxing is, as my dear friend Larry Merchant used to say, the theater of the unexpected. It's not open and shut. And you can expect Charlo to be younger, maybe more intensely motivated. Canelo's made a lot of money. He's had a long career, and it gets more and more difficult for even the most professional of fighters going toward the end of a career like that to keep going into the gym and putting out maximum effort every day. And one of the things I've always said about boxing is if you go into the gym for those 6 or 8 weeks before the fight and you're 1% less than what you used to be in terms of your commitment every day, then you might arrive at the ring 10 or 12% less than what you used to be. It's cumulative, it's ongoing. And who knows whether Canelo, with everything he's accomplished, with everything he's gained from the sport, is at that moment yet where motivation might begin to ebb away. We don't know. We don't know until he gets into the ring. If he's the Canelo who has been so vibrant and alive prior to the Bivol fight, then you got to make him a very solid favorite against Jermell Charlo. But if he's anything less than that, then that opens the door for the possibility of a younger, maybe more energetic on that night fighter to pull off a big win.
Jermell Charlo's the champion over there. What do you make of a potential matchup with Jermell? And you know, hypothetically speaking, because Jermell has a tough fight with Canelo, and we don't know what's going to happen if he's going to choose to stay at 54, if he ends up beating Canelo at 68. There's a lot of intangibles there. But if
he doesn't beat Canelo.
He doesn't beat Canelo.
He doesn't beat Canelo.
No, quicker guy coming up.
Doesn't beat Canelo. Coming up, the other guy was a 140-pounder to begin with. He was a 47-pound champion. You know, people forget this guy was a 40. Was it Canelo for 147-pound champion?
No. His first title at 54.
Okay, but he fought at 47 at the beginning.
He did, yes.
Okay, so he's a guy that was going up 47. The same. No, it's he may have moved up in weight, but he still started his career. Most of his fights were at 47, 54.
But he was a kid though, Abel. He was like 16 years old.
He was still a fighter. He's still a fighter developing, and I think that Canelo's just. I think at that level, Canelo's a more rounded fighter at that level. I don't like what Charlo looked like against the Argentinian. What was his name? The first fight?
Castaño.
I didn't like what the pressure that Castaño put on him, and Castaño. Canelo's going to be a different fight, man. He's earned where he's at.
All right, let's get your breakdown now, Abel. Let's get a little spicy. Canelo versus Charlo. What happens?
I think Canelo decision.
Decision. Wow, a lot of people said knockout.
No, I think Canelo decision because Charlo is a good fighter. Charlo to me is the kind of fighter that will step up to the competition. In other words, he may not thought about what I said a little while ago about the Argentinian. He may not thought a lot about that Argentinian, so he did step up to the competition. But I think he will step up. He'll give Canelo a hard time early. But I think Canelo finally catches up with him and maybe puts him down one time. But I think he wins maybe a 16-12 decision somewhere in there.
Yeah. Do you feel that way because of Canelo's last fight and how he looked against Ryder?
No. I just think that Charlo is a good champion. Maybe not as busy enough for me, but I think he's demonstrated that he's a good champion.
Yeah, because many have mentioned that performance and say like, "Hey, look, it's clear." This is their opinion. It's clear that Canelo's slipping now. He's on the decline.
Listen, we were just talking about Charlo in the Argentinian. Charlo didn't think much of the Argentinian. Maybe he mentally didn't prepare as well as he should have prepared. Maybe it could be the same thing for Canelo against Ryder. Ryder was somebody who was supposed to blow out with one punch. Everybody was saying. So maybe that gets in their mind, and that doesn't happen. And he doesn't look as good as he's looked, but he knows that I'm sure in his mind and in Eddie's mind, Charlo is a challenge.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it's like he knocked down Ryder like 2 times, like he didn't lose a round, like he beat him up pretty bad in the fight. So like
we're punishing him for looking bad.
Exactly. Well, I think it's because people expected him, like you said, to knock one punch knockout, and like the dude's durable, like he could take a beating.
Yeah. The one thing about Canelo, he's not a devastating puncher, but he's a concussive puncher. He just hits you and hits you and hits you. He's very busy. He lands his punches. He's not going to knock you out with one shot like a Nui, but he's going to beat the heck out of you, man. He's going to beat you up, and sometimes it's better get knocked out than to get beat up like that, you know. So I think that he beats on Charlo and eventually just, I'm not going to say Charlo quits, but maybe quits in his mind, like quits trying to win and just survive. But I think he gives him a tough fight.
I think, you know, from his last two showings, he said he had injuries. You got to believe that. And I just feel that, look, he wants to prove that he ever lost a step. And, you know, and he's a competitor. So that's what he does, you know. He wants to keep the crowd going. You know, he wants people to stay behind him. So he's going to be in the best shape he's probably ever been in a long time. And he knows he has to do it because Jermell Charlo is coming to fight. Jermell Charlo is one of the few fighters that I've seen in a long time that holds his power throughout the fight. You don't get that in a lot of fighters. But Canelo also is that guy also. He holds his power really well to the end. So it's going to be a great fight, and I can't wait to see it. You know, look, Jermell is a hard trainer, always has worked hard, and, you know, nothing has changed with him as far as I can see. You know, he's gonna be his best, and he's gonna continue to be his best. And people keep out him two-weight divisions. Look, he's a naturally big guy, simple as that, who not struggle to make weight, but he does it the right way. And when you do it the right way, you know, you don't struggle to do it. So, you know, he's going to be a natural 168-pounder that night. I suspect he would probably weigh in about 64, 65. But the night of the fight, I surely expect him to be about 175. Well, first of all, I know he's going to be in great shape because he always is. He takes it as pride. He takes pride in training, and I know he's going to be in great shape. But what he has to do is he has to make every round not be close. You know, every round that he wins. You're not going to win close rounds against a Canelo Alvarez. Simple as that. When I had Erislandy Lara, I know we had a couple close rounds, but, you know, we just knew we had to keep pushing because we know we're not going to get close rounds. But with Canelo, you know, Canelo is not the easiest guy to hit. The guy has great defense, and I know he works on it every single day. So Charlo, you know, he has to be in great shape from the beginning to the end. He has to push this fight. He has to, you know, let his hands go and not be there for the return. And with Canelo, like I said, you know, his defense is really good. You know, he moves his head and then he counters back really well. So this is going to be a great fight, man. But I just think Charlo, you know, him being a year older or a year younger than Canelo, he, you know, with him, you know, he's going to be in shape. So he's going to throw punches. And as I stated earlier, he gets stronger as the fight goes on. So that's going to be a problem for Canelo. If this is a close fight and it goes into the later rounds, you know, Charlo is going to be there and he's not going anywhere.
Ronnie, do you feel that he can hurt Canelo? Because Canelo has obviously shown a granite chin throughout his career.
Yes, he has a good chin. He does. He has that. But, you know, the old saying, you kill the body, the head will die. Charlo has to go to the body. You don't see a lot of fighters going to Canelo's body. And because, you know, you have to get close enough to do it. So they're going to have to devise a scheme to where he can get in some body shots and possibly, you know, just wear Canelo down just a little bit so he can hit him on top.
Both of them got a chip on their shoulder. I mean, Canelo, man, he changed his training up. He went up to Big Bear. You know, usually he don't do certain things. You know, he's doing something there. He see how big this fight is. And Charlo, he want to win. You know what I'm saying? This would be setting a big statement if he pull this one off. You know what I'm saying? Canelo, he's on the throne right now. He's the throne leader. Do he want to give that up? You know what I'm saying? So, like Bob said, somebody is going to sleep that night because both of them got power. Like Ronnie said, Charlo big, he a big boy. You know what I'm saying? He a big boy and he can punch too. So somebody gonna get it. It's just like I said, how well Champ is, how well they execute their game plan. It's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be the fight that we've been looking for, that roller coaster ride. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait.
Calvin, now when you're training, you know, your fighters, and obviously Tank is one of the most electrifying fighters on the planet today. As Tank was coming up, do you like being the hunter or do you like being the hunted? So Canelo right now, you mentioned about how he's on the top of the throne. Everyone's hunting for Canelo.
Yeah.
Jermell Charlo is, he's the one now going up and chasing Canelo and wants to prove he's the man. Which style of philosophy do you prefer to be in as a trainer? Would you rather be Eddie Reynoso with the guy who's at the top, or would you rather be Derek James, a guy who is hunting the top guy, and you guys are set for a collision course?
Well, it's based on the individual. I like Charlo view. You know what I'm saying? Because he got nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? If he go in there with that attitude, I ain't got nothing to lose, he could be victorious. But like I said, Canelo, he's the throne keeper right now. You know what I'm saying? And if he like that spot, guys that like that spot and they enjoy that spot and they're holding that spot, they still in that spot. And he have a point to prove, can he keep that spot? Only person I see that's not undefeated is Father Time. And, when you gave me his age, he right at the peak, not going Father Time great hitter, but he's at his peak, that he's that guy. You know what I'm saying? So this is a big test for Charlo. You know what I'm saying? But again, when you look at Canelo's last previous performance, it didn't look like itself, but he changed camp up. So he's really taking this fight really serious.
How do you look at it?
Both of them big punches, man. Both of them big punches. And Charlo have something to prove, Canelo have something to prove. It's just the thing, like he said, that Canelo's defense strong. And he just had to stay on him. Charlo had to really, really, really stay on him and really push the button. Somebody got to take a chance. And that's the way we're going to see the knockout. So, again, if both of them fighters go out there and execute, we're going to see a great night that night. We're going to get on that roller coaster that we're looking for.
Anything is possible. And one thing I do know is that Jermell Charlo believes that he's going to beat Canelo on the 30th. He believes that.
There isn't much of if you look at their size, it's actually not that vast. I think people are making it seem a lot more drastic than it is, right?
Yeah, because, the whole thing with when they say, oh, he's moving up 2 weight classes.
Right.
But Jermell walks around at a certain weight, and Canelo's super strong at that weight. He's obviously shorter in stature, but it's going to be a terrific fight, man. I think that fight is going to be like a fight of the year kind of thing. I think that, both guys got something to prove. Both guys got something to prove. And I'm a firm believer this fight is not going the distance. Somebody's getting knocked out.
Jermell versus Canelo, nobody's seen it coming. In the back of your head, were you just wait till you guys hear this one? Did you know it was already coming?
Yeah, I mean, there were a few people in the loop. And there was a lot of conversations about Jamal, and Jamal obviously wanted it very badly, but he's got some, things in his personal life he's dealing with that really weren't going to let him prepare the way he should have. So, look, I know, people look at Jermell and say 154-pounder. I mean, you look at Jermell physically, I'm not worried about size. Anybody who says it's a size mismatch, has never seen Jermell Charlo in person. Because, once I have full confidence, once we get to September 30th, it's going to be 2 very similarly sized guys in the ring.
Yeah, I think actually Charlo is the bigger man, naturally bigger guy, taller at least. But I would root for my guy Charlo, but it's not an easy fight for him. It's going to be hard for him, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's going to be a very tough fight. I believe so. A lot of people are not taking Charlo serious at this moment, but he has a lot of skills.
Yeah, he's undisputed. They don't give him enough respect. And he's moving up 2 weight classes to make history, so you got to give him credit.
I think it'll be a good fight. I think it'll be a better fight than a lot of people. I'm going with Charlo for sure, all day, every day.
Is it because how the performance Canelo has done in the past 2 fights?
No, it's just because I know what he can do. Forget what Canelo did. I know what he got in him to do what he need to do.
Canelo and Charlo, how do you see that fight? Break it down for us.
I feel like, people sleep on Charlo's his high IQ. He has a real high IQ, and I feel like if Canelo shows up the way he has been showing up, like against Ryder and Triple G the 3rd time, I feel like Charlo's chances are high. But if Canelo shows up like Canelo and he has great upper body movement. He has great power. He has great IQ. So I feel like, he'll dominate the fight if he shows up as that person. But if he shows up, anything less than that, then Charlo has a chance.
How does that chance look like? You mentioned if Canelo is slipping, it'll show in the fight. But how do you see in your mind like Charlo beating Canelo? Is it because he's quicker? Is it more active?
He's focused. He's focused, and he's always fighting. He's fighting to the last bell. He's fighting to the last bell, so he's always giving himself a chance for a knockout. He's always, and he has a good IQ, so he switches it up. Like with Brian Castano, he switched it up to the second fight and ended up with the knockout. But I feel like if he sees any flaws that Canelo have and he could capitalize on, then he'll definitely take advantage of it.
I think it's an excellent fight. Like I said, I think that Charlo, trying to be great, and like I say, trying to one up with Bud, not necessarily in a personal way, but just like seeing his chance to, take the spotlight or be in the spotlight. And I think, it was a great fight with Canelo. I think it's a winnable fight for him. I think, like I said, Lil Charlo don't duck no red. Like I said, he going them tough fights and go right back to back. He don't want no tune-up or nothing. So I fuck with him in that aspect. Excuse my language. He just said some derogatory things about Bud, and which I don't feel is. I don't know why. Just because he wanted to fight Earl Spence. So, but far as a fighter, I think he's a real fighter. I like his style. I like him hold down a 54-pound division. You know what I'm saying? It's a good fight for him. I think Canelo, of course he can do what he wants. This is another champion. He's bigger. He's a big 54-pounder. So I don't think he'd be at a disadvantage in that aspect. And I think it's another way to add to his legacy. Like I said, the big brother didn't turn down a fight twice or whatever. So he stepped it up. So I salute him 110% on that. And I won't rule out him winning the fight. And I think it's a great fight. I love both. I love Canelo, and I respect Charlo.
Having been a fighter, been around the game at the highest level, how would you approach a bout with Canelo Alvarez if you were Jermell Charlo?
That's gonna be a hard one too, because they say that boxers give Canelo a lot of trouble, but he didn't fought boxers before. Mel Charlo was not really a boxer. He's a boxer puncher. He's not really a mover. Tony Harrison gave him a lot of troubles. But I think, they're going to be in the pocket. And I think Canelo probably got an edge with that because he's a really good inside fighter. I think he can take a punch. I don't think Mel Charlo probably can knock him out. So I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be an entertaining fight.
Can you foresee either fighter touching the canvas?
I see Mel Charlo touching the canvas, and I'm the only way I'm saying that is because Canelo do that. He grates on fighters. He knows how to break you down. Like I say, he's doing different things, and he's a very, very technical, skilled fighter. He got great head movement on the inside, so he know how to make you miss and make you pay. He got a good jab himself, and this guy is about his size. Bebo was a big guy, a tall, rangy guy, a tapping type of puncher, stay from the outside. But Mel Charlo kind of being there with you, as you've seen with Castano and like that. So, like I say, it's going to be a hell of a fight. And I think Mel Charlo could win the fight. I don't know how he's going to win the fight, but I think it's a winnable fight for him. And again, I salute him.
Yeah, that's a big risk moving up 2 weight classes to fight a bigger Canelo who's used to fighting bigger guys than him and taking shots from bigger guys.
Yeah, it is. But, you can't turn it down. You have to take that opportunity. And Jermell is a tall kid. He's got a frame that he could carry an extra 10 pounds. I wouldn't suggest that he go in at 168 because even if you weigh the same, you're not going to be stronger than he is. So you have to take advantage of what you have, your hand speed. You punch hard enough to get respect, and you box well enough to get respect. I actually give him a great chance in that fight.
Do you think it's a fight where it's split decision, close down the middle? Does he separate himself at some point? What are the big takeaways from Jermell that could put him ahead of Canelo in that fight?
I think Canelo is slipping. I think he's very hittable. I think he only throws 1 or 2 punches. I think the stamina problem is right there. Jermell is much more durable than Amir. He has much more punching power. And I think Canelo is showing some slippage. He seems to only be able to throw 1 or 2 punches at one time. And from what I understand, he lives a pretty party lifestyle also. So money can do some strange things to you, man. And before you know it, when you've been fighting as long as he has from a kid and things like that, and the ego is there, you can start bypassing things. You can lose the hunger. And when the hunger is gone, the skill starts going. So I think that if he gets tired against Jermell, well, Jermell shows great ability late rounds. That it could be a problem if he lets him get on the other side of 7 or 8. It could be a problem. I don't see Jermell standing there and letting him get bombs off on him. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. And I don't think weight has much to do with this. I think it's going to be skill. And I think if Jermell can hit with authority enough to get his respect, that it'll be an interesting fight. That's the whole key.
They're both undisputed. It's undisputed against undisputed, and you don't get that nowadays, you know? Given there's a jump in weight classes, they're both undisputed, and that's literally the best fighting the best, which is 154 fighting 168. Canelo's a little smaller than on the 168 side, so it will be pretty even on the size, but it's going to be a very fun fight to watch with Canelo with all the experience and Charlo with all the pure boxer skills in the world. So, yeah, that's definitely a good fight.
Does Charlo have the skills to pull the upset? Do you give him a great shot at beating Canelo?
If he sticks to his game plan, yeah, I could see him pulling off the victory.
Would that surprise you?
Yeah, I think it'll surprise me. Yeah, I mean, Charlo's gonna come as the underdog, and it's very tough for Charlo to go in there and to fight Canelo at 168. If you were to drain Canelo down to lower weight, I think it'd be more of an even fight. But I'd see Charlo the underdog, and I'd be surprised if he wins.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Up TV, and give us a follow online as well at Fight Up TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.